Right, perfect. So today I'm informing you guys on a very inspirational / very known personality of his time. His time was during the Roman Empire. And now before we get into exactly who this person is, I need somebody to read a quote by him. So you're about to find out right now who it is. Somebody want to read this quote for me? Perfect.
If I played my part well, clap your hands and dismiss me with applause from the stage.
Octavian. So, raise the hands, how many people know Octavian? One? Okay, perfect. How about Augustus Caesar? Okay, everybody. Okay, that's the same person. Now, Octavian, essentially the reason he's such a prominent figure, somebody that is known as Augustus Caesar, is because he was the first Roman emperor of Rome. And so I'm going to go through his life, where basically we want to go through his rise to power, we want to go through his fight to keep and maintain his power, and we also want to go through his accomplishments and what makes him important. And so with that, Octavian's rise to power, he started out just like many of us, born into a family. His family happened to be a very wealthy family. His father actually was within the Roman Senate at the time. And to kind of give you a background on that, the Romans at this time were run by the Senate. They were the ones who had the say, they gave power, they took away power, they were basically the law of the leaders. And his father was within that, but at the age of 4, Octavian's father died. And so Octavian didn't have a male role model to look up to. But his uncle, his mother's brother, his name was Julius Caesar. I'm sure many of you know who that is. And so Julius Caesar actually took Octavian underneath his wings. He shared with him his thoughts that he wanted Rome to be, his ambitions, things of this sort. He took Octavian on many campaigns into Gaul or Germania. And so he was able to grow up learning from Julius Caesar, and they created a strong bond with each other. And when Octavian was 18 years old, he was actually at a military school. So Roman, it's very common for wealthy individuals to go in military and learn about how that goes. Basically learn the tactics of war, politics, things of that sort. And while he was here, he was only 18 years old, and he received word that Julius Caesar had been assassinated by members of the Senate. To his surprise, and to the surprise of many others, Julius Caesar actually named in his will that Octavian would take over all of his responsibilities and power. And Julius Caesar was essentially the commander of the armies, of the Roman armies. And so with that, when Octavian received that, he was told not to accept it. They're like, you're too young, you're only 18 years old. You don't know the way life is here in Rome. You shouldn't accept it. But Octavian did accept it. And Octavian's father was taken from him, essentially, his father figure. And he wanted revenge. And so he created an alliance with Mark Antony and with Marcus, two Roman generals, to fight these assassins who had fled Rome and raised an army. And so with that, we go straight into the fight. We see how Octavian obtained power and how he kept onto it, held onto it, and gained more. And so with that is, with the combined forces of Marcus and Mark Antony, they were able to conquer the assassins and defeat them. They killed them, and Octavian got his revenge. And so when they got revenge, they split the empire up into 3 parts. The green is Octavian, the orange is Lepidus or Marcus, and then the blue is Antony, Mark Antony. And so this lasted for a little bit, but unfortunately, when you have hotheads controlling, it's never enough. And so each of them had their own ambitions, and so the peace didn't last very long. They all wanted to be the supreme ruler of Rome. And so they fought. It became a huge civil war. And with a few key battles being won, Octavian defeated his enemies. He defeated Mark Antony on the seas. And I'm sure you guys are familiar with the story of Cleopatra and Mark Antony, where she kills herself. No? Yes? Raise hands, yes? Okay. Not too many, so I'll give you a brief overview. Mark Antony and Cleopatra killed themselves because they were defeated by this kid, essentially. And they knew that that was pretty much the only way out. They're going to die anyways, and so they went out together. And then he defeated Lepidus, or Marcus Lepidus, in battle as well, and exiled him, stripped all of his command away. And so with this battle, with this war, Octavian essentially became the emperor. He was the most powerful. He was revered and loved as the hero of Rome, and became the emperor. And he set up what was called the Roman Principate, which is basically, it means the first Roman citizen. And Octavian was super smart in the way he did things. The reason he decided to call himself the Principate, or the first Roman citizen, is because it makes the illusion that he's actually not a dictator, or he's not the emperor. He gave the illusion that the council was still in charge, the Senate. And so, but he controlled the armies. He had the final say, so anything that went through the Senate, he had to approve. So, in essence, he was the emperor without the title of emperor. And he adopted the name Caesar in reverent to his father figure, his uncle. And so that's where you get the Caesars. And so with that, you can see here, for over 300 years, the Principate existed, which is the emperors, until it did fall and it became, power went back to the Senate. But 300 years, his legacy lasted. Now, with that, Octavian, when he defeated his foes, there became a time period that he was able to usher in, which was called the Pax Romana, or basically the Roman freedom. And they were able to enjoy 2 centuries of no huge scale warfares within Rome. The only warfare that they had was expansion. And they expanded into parts of Germania. They took over the rest of Hispania and a little bit into Africa. And so Octavian, this yellow here is where the Roman Empire was when Octavian originally took power. The light green is where he expanded before the end of his time. And so he expanded his empire. He created states as buffers between him and his enemies. He created alliances. Octavian essentially accomplished this worldwide peace, or this Roman peace, and was able to strengthen their interior, basically create the skeleton of what we now know as the Roman Empire. And some interesting things that he did while in power is he created the first police force, the actual sanctioned police force, the first actual firefighters, and he created like roads upon roads, intricate roads, miles and miles of roads, where he was able to move his armies quickly and be able to get messages far across the land that hadn't been able to be done before, at least not very effectively. And so Octavian, doing all of this stuff, became the first Roman emperor. He set the path for everybody to see what the Roman Empire became. He was essentially the backbone, or the push that created the Roman Empire. And with that, if I played my part well, clap your hands and dismiss me with applause from the stage. Now with that, Octavius, to me, played his part very well in being the first emperor. He played his part in very well keeping that power, and for that I give him applause. So thank you.